It's time for Baby and Toddler Instructions with host Blythe Lipman. Blythe is a nationally renowned infant and toddler expert who has over 30 years' experience helping moms and dads regain their sanity, teaching them how to survive, and giving them the confidence they need to be the best parents ever. From sleeping to crying to potty training to choosing a preschool and so much more. If you're a parent, Baby and Toddler Instructions is the show you've been looking for. Now here's your host, Blythe Lipman.
Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time zone you might be in. Thanks so much for tuning in. I am very excited about today's show. My guest will be joining us after the first break from Ireland. Very exciting, and she has such great tips to share, and she's going to tell you what a bubble bum is. Every toddler parent ought to have one, but that's all I'm going to say. So first, I hope everybody had a great holiday weekend, and whatever you celebrated, whether you ate matzah, and I hope you had chocolate matzah, or you had lots of chocolate bunnies and jelly beans. I hope you didn't eat too much. But I have to say, you know what? I love the holidays. There's nothing like getting together with family and friends, and especially if you have little ones. You know what? You have to realize you're creating these memories that will last a lifetime, because I can tell you so many times my children are in their 30s, and we talk and laugh about things that happened years ago. And you know what? It's just so much fun to create those memories. So here's an idea if you have a little one. Every year, every holiday, or pick one holiday, take a picture of them and buy yourself a little notebook or a folder. I know you can do all this online, but anyway, you know, I can't tell you how much little ones love to look at their pictures and hear stories. You can say, they'll say again. Anyway, take a picture every year, put it in a folder, in a book, and as they get older, wait till you see the changes. It's just amazing how much they change in a year, because sometimes when you're with your children all the time, you don't realize, all of a sudden you go, wow, when did you get so tall? So, you know what? Try doing that. Holidays are great, so I hope you had a good one. What's coming up next? Memorial Day, I think. So recalls, there really weren't any new recalls, thank goodness. But again, I hate to be a broken record, sound like a broken record. I say it every week. If you are lucky enough to get some hand-me-downs, you know, cribs, strollers, whatever it is, make sure to go on the recall list. If you visit my website, mybestparentingadvice.com, I update my recall list each and every week that something is on there. Don't try to fix it yourself. You know, you can't, and that's why the companies give recall numbers and their websites. So all that information is on mybestparentingadvice.com on the recall page. Really easy. Let's see what else we have today. Oh, this was so interesting. I don't know. For those of you that don't read the New York Times, I love getting it. There's so much great information in there. And I'm from the East. I'm not from New York. I'm from New Jersey many years ago. So there were a couple articles I did want to share with you. In this week's Sunday Times, there was such an interesting article. It's called Gertie's Babies Sold at Birth. Use DNA to Unlock the Secret Past. Sue Dockett's start in life in 1951 with a no questions asked cash adoption at the hands of a midwife had strong elements of a crime scene. Listen to this. Her adoptive father was told to stay in the car, keep the motor running. His wife went into the nondescript office building in Butte, Montana, where she met the midwife, Gertrude Pitkanen, and was handed this hours-old baby, and even the afterbirth, I hope it was in a bag, and offered a peek through a little curtain to see the young mother lying in bed and was told to leave. They took the baby and the afterbirth, and they actually took this afterbirth and threw it out the window, but that's not the point of the story. The point is that Miss Dockett was later told by her adopted parents that they paid $500 for her. Can you imagine? I mean, adoption is so expensive, and there's so much red tape, which there should be. Anyway, she was one of about 24 people, mostly in the West, belonging to this self-styled club whose members called themselves Gertie's Babies. This Gertie was some kind of character. I have to tell you, she was selling these babies out of an office building in Butte, Montana. One of the one of the women that found out that she was one of Gertie's babies actually went back to see this office building, and it's now empty and sagging, and how many secrets are in there. Because there was another story about another adoption in 1946 that haunted this woman. Her father's memory said that the day he bought her in a motel room for $100, and the mostly false birth certificate was signed by this Miss Gertie, and said her mother's name was Violet Wilson, which it wasn't. So many years later, through Ancestry.com, Miss Livergood, who was the adopted baby, found a cousin who found family records, and they found a small town where Violet had lived, and she wasn't the mother, and oh my goodness, this went on and on. Anyway, if you go on to the NewYorkTimes.com, if you don't read it, or maybe it's just on the internet, this was the most interesting story. I mean, I can't imagine, because again, it's so expensive to adopt babies, and there's so much into it, and what a great thing if you have an adopted child. I mean, wow. You know, they always say, adopted baby, you didn't grow in my stomach, you grew in my heart. And that's so true. So whether these parents paid $100 or $500, it still goes back to how parents love their babies. But it's not $100 anymore. Also, there was another article that I thought this was pretty interesting. This is from the Science Digest. Why babies love and learn from magic tricks. This was 11-month-old is in this video sitting in a high chair in front of a small stage where you might expect a puppet show, except this is a lab at Johns Hopkins University. And instead of a puppeteer, a researcher is rolling a red and blue striped ball down a ramp toward the bottom. It says what some scientists call this core knowledge that we're born with. This baby's watching this ball roll down. So when it rolls down the ramp, and it does go through this wall, thanks to some sleight of hand by the researchers, the cute little baby's surprised. Well, surprise, surprise. You know what? We're all surprised, too, when we watch magic. Anyway, this is where the learning part of the story kicks in. Not only did the babies in the study react when the ball appeared to go through the wall, or say a toy car floated across the stage, to their surprise, they appeared to be better learners. So what does this mean? Babies were given new information about these seemingly magical objects like the ball squeaks. And they were saying that the infants were likely to retain it more because it was a surprise, and they learned better when a surprise happened. You know, all I could think of when I read this, and this was on NPR, and all I could think of was how many times when you first put your children in a high chair, you know, they're sitting up and they're old enough to be in that high chair, they take things and they throw it on the floor, and you pick it up, and they throw it on the floor, and you pick it up, and it's a game. And parents will say, I can't believe you're making mommy pick this up again. But you know what? It's funny because it's really cause and effect. They throw it on the floor and something happens. And, you know, whether they hear a bang, whether it's a toy that's a squeak, you know, whether it's their food and mom gets upset, it's cause and effect. And you know what? They do learn. And what hit me with this study is it's not magic. I mean, you know what? We all learn, and even as we get older, when we do something, it's cause and effect. When we eat something and it tastes awful and it's sour and we may not like sour, well, what do we learn? We're not going to eat that again. Anyway, that was in the Science Daily Digest. Another great place. I love to see all these stories. So I wanted to share those with you this morning. Also, summer is going to be here before we all know it, and many of us will be taking family trips. So, you know, I want to talk a little bit about taking family trips. I have a chapter in my book called Help, My Toddler Came Without Instructions, which is available on my website, mybestparentingadvice.com. You can get my book on Amazon, on barnesandnoble.com, and you can even get it on Audible so somebody will read to you. But the point wasn't to plug my book, but it is a good book. I'm very proud of it, and I know you'll like it if you have a toddler. So I wanted to share a couple tips from my chapter on, the places we'll go traveling with your toddler, because you know how tough it is when you're in the car and your toddler's in the car seat or the booster seat and they're cranky and it's only been 20 minutes. And, yeah, what are you supposed to do? So here are a couple of my tips. If You know what? I know we say it's not great to give the kids videos, but there are many great videos out there that don't necessarily have words, and they're not video games. You know, the Pediatric Association says do not let your children have any viewing time until they're past 2 years old. So if you do have a child past 2, the iPad, the tablets, they work great for any travel, whether it's airplane travel, whether you're in the car. You know, I know they have cars that now have movie screens. I think it's kind of distracting myself. I think I'd want to be listening to the movie, maybe not watching the road, but that's just me. But get your tablet out if you're going to be taking a long trip, and let your little one, you know, look at either there's storybooks. I just loaded a storybook for one of my babies that reads to you, and it was about colors. So there are a lot of learning books and learning videos out there. So that's one of my tips. If you've just started potty training your child, and you're going on a trip for the first time, I know you don't want to go 2 steps backward, but you know what? Put a pair of big girl, big boy panties on top of the pull-up or the diaper if they're still doing it. There's nothing worse than standing in line, waiting to get on the plane, or waiting to go someplace and there's no place to stop when you're in the car and your child has an accident. So you can do both, and you can explain to them if they're old enough to understand. Also, if your toddler uses a sippy cup, put water in it. Don't put any kind of juice. It's so sticky, and if for some reason they spill it, oh my goodness, you're going to have to start getting the clothes out and changing them. So if you're going to be traveling, put water in the sippy cup. Also, if you're going to be staying in a hotel or a motel, take some plug covers with you, because those rooms are not child-proofed, and it's really easy, and toddlers explore all the time. So look around when you walk in, and don't take your eyes off your child for a minute. But just, those plug covers are plastic. They're not expensive. You can at least do that little bit. Anyway, if you want more tips, again, my book is called Help. My Toddler Came Without Instructions. And I also have Help. My Baby Came Without Instructions, and More Help. And with all the babies being born in the spring, they make great shower gifts. They make great new parent gifts, because as we know, our children don't come with instructions. So we are going to have a break in just a few seconds, and when we come back, I'm going to welcome my guest, Grainne Kelly. Be right back.
We'll be right back with more Help, My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Have you ever wondered if you're normal, or why you feel distant from your partner? Then join us for Sex Talk with Lou, with your host Lou Paget, on TogiNet Wednesday nights 9/8 Central. Do you want to recreate a truly connected relationship, or wonder, how do I tell my kids about things? Join Lou Paget, one of the world's best-selling authors in the field of sexuality, a certified sex educator and sought-after expert for all media, and her renowned expert guests as they discuss anything and everything about sex that impacts our lives and our families' lives. For more on Lou, check out her website, loupaget.com. This is the show where the best experts in the field of sexuality and sexual health can finally give you the answer to that question. Join us for Sex Talk with Lou, with your host Lou Paget, Wednesday nights at 9/8 Central on TogiNet.com.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, radio with a cutting edge. Is there more living for you to do? Yes. Start living inspired. Be here for Living Inspired with Tricia Goyer, Thursday afternoons at 4, 3 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Tricia will dig deep into topics that matter most to women, inspiring women to make a change in their own lives and to make a difference in the world, and maybe even deep within their own hearts. Tricia is a wife, mom, speaker, family expert, and author of 24 books. For more information on Tricia and Living Inspired, go to her website, TriciaGoyer.com.
That's TRICIAGOYER.com. Trisha's vision is to be the voice of hope and possibility for women of all ages. Her intention is to serve ordinary women by encouraging extraordinary things with God's help. Trisha expresses real life, real hope for real women. Is there more living for you to do? Yes. Start living inspired. Living Inspired with Trisha Goyer. Thursday afternoons at 4, 3 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. The hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I am so excited to welcome my guest, Grainne Kelly. She is a former travel agent who revolutionized the child travel industry by inventing this great booster seat called the Bubble Bum. It's the first inflatable booster seat. You know, safety is a prime element of a child's health, and this booster seat, you know, ensures that kids stay safe and comfortable throughout all the car trips. And especially, I was just talking about traveling. You know, summer's coming again and lots of family trips, and those booster seats are so heavy. Anyway, kids love this seat because it has great and trendy colors, and it's just a great alternative. You can put it in a bag and you can take it with you. I'm going to have Grainne tell you more, but we're not going to just talk about the booster seat the rest of the show. We are going to talk about, you know, safety in the car and all kinds of things. So I will let her tell you about it, but I can tell you I have one right here, and I have taken it to some of my events, and it is the easiest thing. You take it out of the little bag, you blow it up. You know what? It hooks in safely in the car, and you put it back in the bag. I mean, when I see parents at the airport dragging these heavy car seats, heavy booster seats on top of the baby, the toddler, and the 10 bags, this is genius to me. I just love this. Anyway, Grainne, welcome to Baby and Toddler Instructions. How are you?
I am great, Blythe, and many congratulations for the accurate pronunciation of my name. It took me 10 years to spell that name, you know.
I've been practicing, although I spelled it wrong on one of my sites, so sorry about that. Anyway, you are, where are you exactly? I know you're in Ireland.
I am in Ireland. We are on vacation at the moment in a beautiful seaside resort called Bangor. So it's beautiful. The weather is gorgeous. Everything is so typically Irish. And, of course, I was having very bad coverage of my phone because we are in Ireland.
You know what? You sound great. So wherever you are and whatever you're doing, it sounds wonderful. So you were a travel agent. How did you come up with this idea? And I have to tell you, honestly, I've taken this to a couple events, and I'm going to an event tomorrow, and I take it out of the bag. I usually play a game and go, what do you think's in this bag? So anyway, how did you come up with this?
Well, I was traveling with my own kids, Blythe, and every time I arrived to the car rental desk, they didn't have the car seats, even when we'd pre-booked them in advance. So I would arrive to the car rental desk and say, oh, can I have the 2 booster seats that I pre-booked? And every time they said, oh, I'm really sorry, we don't have them. So I started asking, why don't you have them? And they said, well, we don't have space for them. And if you know how small those car rental desks are in the airport, they don't have space for anything in there. So I came back and I thought, maybe there's an inflatable one on the market. And I started looking up online to find out how can you know, where could I possibly buy an inflatable option? And there wasn't anything there. So I started calling crash test labs. And I thought they'll be able to tell me why there isn't an inflatable one in the market. And they started giving me a list of reasons why. And one of them in Europe in particular was because the car seat has got to be crash tested in the deflated state or in the worst possible case scenario. So I basically got them to give me, and I'm not an engineer either, Blythe. I'm just a regular mum. And as I say, I spoke to the crash test labs, and I asked them to treat me like a 3-year-old. And that's exactly what they did. And they explained everything perfectly to me as to why there was no inflatable seat on the market. And I set about a resolve of solving all the issues that they've given me, particularly the crash testing in the deflated state. And I took a flight out to China. So within 9 months, I had taken the product from concept to shelf, through crash testing, through patenting, setting up of the website, and getting ready for sales in Europe.
Wow, and that's really quick, 9 months. That's really quick.
That is really quick. It literally was a birth.
It sounds like a birth, and I was so happy to hear, because when I first heard about Bubble Bum, and by the way, if you are listening to the show right now, you can go to toginet.com, and on the front page there is a video of me with my dogs, and a little bit through you will see the dogs actually. Oh, it's at the end. I'm sorry. At the end of the video, you will see my dogs showing off the Bubble Bum, which is not for dogs, it's for children, but I wanted everybody to see what it looked like, and it's small, and
that's great.
And I'm so happy to hear about the crash testing, because when I first heard about you, I thought, is this safe? Because obviously that's the first question that comes to mind, and it's amazing, because I think from what you said, we don't realize how many tests different products have to go through, and especially those with the children, because, again, I have a recall list, and they recall things all the time, which thank goodness they do. So This, to me, was just amazing. So, I hear parents say all the time, my child doesn't want to go in a booster seat. What are the rules? How much do they have to weigh, or is there an age?
Well, they should be over 40 pounds and over the age of 4. I think it's really important. You must really keep your child in a 5-point harness seat as long as you possibly can. And I think one of the things when your child is growing up, you want to move to the next stage of development. So you're saying, hooray, they've got teeth. Hooray, they can eat by themselves. Hooray, look, he's walking. Oh, he's able to talk. All of these stages. But that shouldn't be confused with the milestones in car seats, because really every time you move your child to the next stage, you're actually reducing the level of safety that you're providing for your child. So you should be keeping your child rear-facing as long as possible. And a lot of parents say, well, that's ridiculous, their legs are too long. Well, you know what? Aren't you better with a broken leg than a broken neck? And that is the reality of it.
So I'm so happy you're saying this.
In some parts of Europe, they keep their children rear-facing until the age of 4, and they have the lowest injury rate. So that's got to stand for something. And also, there are some parents who are moving their children too early into the booster seat, and whenever they're not developmentally ready. So you may have a really tall 3-year-old. A really tall 3-year-old is not necessarily mature enough to ride in a booster seat in any event, because they're leaning forward, they're reaching down onto the floor, they're maybe taking their seatbelt off, they might be putting the seatbelt under their arm or behind their head, and all of those things severely increase the risk of injury in the event of a crash.
Or what about, so many times I've seen plenty of kids take the seatbelt off and take the shoulder belt and put it on their waist because it's not comfortable, because it cuts them in the throat.
Yeah, well, we provide a shoulder belt clip that attaches on, and if you understand that the damage is done in the event of a crash with a booster-age child, and a lot of parents don't understand this, and to be honest with you, Blythe, I didn't understand it myself when I first started out, but there are seatbelt injuries which are caused by the seatbelt actually cutting into the abdominal tissue, and the seatbelt is designed for an adult, not for a child, and a child is not proportioned the same way as an adult is. So what happens in the event of a crash, if the lap belt is not positioned correctly, is that cuts right into the abdomen and causes serious lifelong injury, and can even sever the spine. So it's really important that the shoulder belt keeps the child in position as well, because if they put the shoulder belt under their arm, they don't have any upper body support. And that's very, very dangerous.
No, they don't. And the shoulder belt is supposed to be on the shoulder, not in the throat.
That's right. And it's highly unlikely that the shoulder belt... I've actually, very recently, we were in Florida on vacation, and we very luckily walked away from a rollover car crash on the highway. And when you come out of a crash like that, you come out literally wearing your seatbelt, because your seatbelt tracks your whole body. So if the seatbelt's in the wrong place, it's going to track that part of your body, basically. And it was very apparent to me because I had those tracks for about 3 weeks, luckily. So the important thing to remember for your child is make sure that the seatbelt, the shoulder belt in particular, is comfortable on them. And that way they're less likely to try and put it under their arm or behind them whenever they're riding in the car. And we, as I say, most seatbelts, most booster seats come with a shoulder belt. I think actually most of them in the US come anyway with a shoulder belt clip which attaches to the seat, and it will hold the shoulder belt down on the shoulder where it should be.
Well, that's so important. And I want to go back to something you said a few minutes ago. As far as having your baby rear facing, it is the safest way. And also some of the companies, maybe you should make a new kind. They make mirrors so that you can put a mirror in your car and you can see the baby, because parents will say, I don't like them facing the rear because I can't see what they're doing. And if they cough or you don't hear anything, and there are mirrors that you can have in the car, and you can look while you're driving and you can see your baby and you can see that they're fine and they're comfortable. So, that's really right. That's so important. The other thing is with the older toddlers, they don't want to sit in a booster seat because they go, oh, I'm a baby. I mean, I know I take care. It's funny because I take care of a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old once a month, and they both have booster seats. And I was telling the dad about your booster seat. And the booster seat, I drive them, so the booster seats go in the car. And it's funny because this little boy, he's so cute, he's 7, and he tries every single time to tell me that his father said he doesn't have to be in the booster seat because he's not a baby and he doesn't need it anymore. But you know what? He's not heavy enough, and he does need the booster seat. And I was telling the dad about your product the other day because I love the fact that it comes in these very cool colors that kids like, and it doesn't make them feel, if they feel like a baby, it's not a baby thing. It's a cool thing to sit in that. Anyway.
That's right.
We're going to have a break in just about a minute, and when we come back, I want to talk to you some more about, the rules for infant seats, and, what do you do? You have kids, and Here's something to think about. What do you do when your child will not put their seatbelt on and will not sit in their booster seat? That's a really interesting question to think about, because I know what I did when my kids were little. Of course, it was, 30-some years ago, and the seats were different, and we didn't even have booster seats then, which was, when I look back at it, you say, thank you, we're all safe, and we survived. Mom's driving and Dad's driving, and we were in those seats. But anyway, when we come back from the break, we will continue to talk to Grainne Kelly. She has invented this wonderful booster seat called the Bubble Bum. So go to mybestparentingadvice.com on radio, and you can see my video and a picture of it, or toginet.com, and we will be right back.
We'll be right back with more help. For help, my baby came without instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Baby love, my baby love, I need you, oh, I need you.
Shh, listen, something is brewing. The beautiful business evolution is coming. The way we do business is about to change, for the better, forever. This is real business at its very best. On Beautiful Business Radio, you will learn what it means to truly prosper, how to nourish yourself and your business, how to earn what you deserve and make a difference in the world. The tide is rising, the change is here. Discover a new way to live, love, and partner with yourself and your business on Philippa Rowlands Presents Beautiful Business Radio, where you matter and your business thrives, every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, only here on the Woohoo Radio Network.
Reaching out from the heartland of the United States with quality programming, this is TogiNet Radio.
This is Uncommon Sense for Leaders, a forum for exploring leadership from the intellect, the heart, and the spirit. Whether you're a leader now or aspire to be a leader in the future, you owe it to yourself to learn about the big ideas that have shaped the careers of compelling communicators, masters of influence, and highly effective leaders. Uncommon Sense for Leaders. Tune in to hear thought-provoking ideas on every aspect of leadership. You can expect dynamic discussions with special guests, quick tips you can apply immediately for better results, and the tools you need to take you from where you are to where you want to be as a leader. Are you ready to crack the code for achieving unprecedented results? Then join the host for Uncommon Sense for Leaders, Catherine Carlisi, every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the All Business Radio Network.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I am here with my wonderful guest all the way from Ireland. Her name is Grainne Kelly, and she is the inventor of a wonderful booster seat called the Bubble Bum. And again, I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but if you go to toginet.com or if you go to mybestparentingadvice.com under radio, watch the video. At the end of the video, my wonderful dog actors, who I had to bribe with crackers, are sitting on the Bubble Bum so you could see what it is. But do not put your dogs in this. Originally, I was going to try to put them in the car, but I thought, nah, parents may think this is for the dog. So it's for toddlers. You have to have a laugh. We need to laugh every day. Anyway, so what's the biggest mistake that parents make besides putting their kids in, changing seats too soon?
I think another mistake is, we've talked before the break, we were going to talk about how children were saying they didn't want to ride in a booster seat. And, that is a real bone of contention. And there's a real problem for parents. But I believe that I have managed to keep my children in booster seats by explaining to them, well, listen, guys, this is what happens if you don't wear it. If mom and dad don't wear their seatbelt, this is what happens. And I do literally explain to them the seatbelt will cut into you here. This will cut into you here, because they are big enough. If they're big enough to make a decision that they're not going to ride in a booster seat, which is keeping their life preserved, then they're big enough to understand the risks why. So if you're going to allow them to make that decision for themselves, and they do have to understand, from the age of 4, they really are old enough to understand why they should ride in a booster seat. And I don't mean you've got to terrify them and show them photographs, but I mean you do need to explain to them, listen, this is going to save your life. It's not a case of you need to ride in it because it looks good or because it's more comfortable. It will save your life. And I think that some parents, and I know that perhaps until I knew what I know, I may well have been guilty of the same scenario where the kids were saying, oh, Mum, I don't want to ride in the booster seat. I don't want to sit in the baby seat. And I basically come back and said, well, you know what? I prefer you living. It's as simple as that. And I think I probably frightened the life out of them at that point when I said that. They said, what do you need, Mum? And I said, well, this saves your life. And I like you just as you are. I love you even. And I would like to keep you this way. But if you don't ride in the booster seat, then I can't guarantee that I can get you home safely. Simple as that.
It's a really good point, because if the children, when they're 4, they do understand some. And I'm happy you said you don't have to show them gory pictures, because living and dying is not the easiest concept for anybody, especially when they're little. No. But, the fact is that it's not about us driving all the time. It's about other drivers, too. And I think, and children can understand that, especially in this day and age. I don't know about in Ireland, but I know in Arizona we don't have a texting law, which drives me up a wall. I see so many people texting and driving, and you can tell when you're behind them because they're swerving all over the place. And, even pointing something out when you're in the car and saying, I'm so happy that you're in your booster seat, and because not everybody is safe. Years ago, we didn't have seatbelts. Kids, you would see pictures of kids standing up in the back seat, which, oh my gosh, that mortifies me when I see that. But,
But years ago, cars were actually built differently years ago. And I have so many parents that say to me, oh, when we were kids, well, yeah, when we were kids, cars were manufactured differently. Now they're manufactured with different crumple zones. And the inside of the car is softer, so the outside of the car actually crumples. And all of that makes a difference in the event of a crash, which is why cars have seatbelts in them.
Oh, exactly. And the highways, we didn't have all these super highways where the speed limit's 75 miles an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know that
you were lucky that your car could get to 75 miles an hour when I was a child. Like.
Oh, yeah. You know what? And it was a lot safer. I always say we should go back to horses and buggies. It will make everybody safe. Because I have to tell you, in my family, when my kids were little, if they didn't put the seatbelt on, the car didn't start. I would say, car doesn't start. No seatbelt, we're going to sit here. And you know what? The seatbelt went on pretty fast, especially if we were going to go do something like go to the library and get books or go get some ice cream when they were little kids. The car just didn't work. We had to put our seatbelts on. And
another thing, sorry?
No, go ahead. I was going to say that's a really simple thing to do, too, if you don't have time to do the explanation right then and there.
Yeah. And another explanation for parents, because quite often, and having been from the travel industry, I would often have had parents say, oh, I'm going to Spain and they don't have a booster law there, so I don't need a booster. And I said, well, I don't understand. Do you mean that your child is invincible when they're on vacation? Or I'm not understanding the correlation between Spain and not having your child in the correct car seat. And he said, well, it's not the law. And I said, well, it's actually your responsibility to keep your child safe, not the law. The law will give you recommendations, but it's your responsibility. The law doesn't state, do not leave a carving knife on the edge of your countertop. But common sense would prevail and tell you, you do not leave a carving knife on the edge of the worktop in the kitchen when you've got a toddler running around. It's exactly the same principle. You're responsible for the safety of your child. And what we've discovered is that most parents who have their children riding without booster seats in the car, they're not doing it because they don't care about their kids' bikes. They're doing it because they don't understand the dangers for their child, or they would never do that. They're not doing it because they don't care about their kids.
No, of course not. I think there needs to be a bubble bum book with the booster seat. Understanding.
Oh, yes.
No, seriously, because they don't understand. And, you know, I wish all the countries and all the places were the same, especially the time, which drives me nuts since daylight savings.
I know.
I wish we were all consistent with everything, with the laws, with the booster seat laws, with the cell phone laws, with wearing helmets. You know, we don't even have a helmet law in Arizona for motorcycle riders. And
wow.
I mean, I wish safety-wise everything was more consistent. It would make it so much easier for all of us because, again, you don't understand. And
that's right.
It can be scary, and you don't want to look back and say, if only I had known. So you know what, along with your booster seat to educate all these parents, you're doing such a wonderful thing.
Thank you.
How old are your children?
I actually think that's a great idea. My kids they're now 11 and 14.
Nice.
I have 2 boys.
You don't have to take along things, diapers and wipes.
Oh, I've done enough diapers and wipes. My sister had 6 kids.
Oh my goodness.
And I looked after her kids for so long that when it came to my turn, I said 2's plenty. So I have my 2 boys, and they were actually very heavily involved in the design and of all aspects of Bubble Bum whenever we started out. So, I mean, Bubble Bum is now 5 years old, and they have been working on all the colorways with their friends in school, with all the kids in the street. We got them all together. We have focus groups with kids. We actually had a board meeting with all of the kids. So we get them all involved because there's no point in me trying to design products for children. I'm not a child.
You know, I think that's great. I am so happy to hear that because we think we know. I mean, I can tell you my kids are in their 30s, and I can remember thinking I knew what they'd like, and they'd go, we don't like that. Or why are you making me wear that? And we don't. You know what? It's good to ask. And the colors are great.
Well, what we did for the colors, and it was really interesting, we brought out the purple seat first, and it was incredible. The retailers said to us, this will never sell. You're never going to sell a purple car seat. Nobody wants a purple car. Do you realize I think we were the first purple car seat on the market, both Europe and the US. And the retailer said, this is never going to sell. You just can't sell a purple car seat. But we went to the schools and we took 100 kids, 50 boys and 50 girls, and we gave them stickers of different colorways. And we let them choose their favorite. 98 of the 100 and they had no idea what these colours were for. 98 of them chose the purple colourway, purple and lime green. So they chose their own colours, and then purple was a bestseller, absolute bestseller on the market, which is fantastic.
What a great story. I think that's great because, you know what, I know too, sometimes with, I have 3 books, and I've talked to people that'll say, yeah, nobody's going to buy that cover. My first cover on my book has a picture of my daughter with that lip. I'm sure you've seen every baby has that lip right before they get ready to cry. And the book is called More Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. And I had more people tell me, nobody is going to pick up that book. That baby's ugly, and you know what, who's going to look at it? And I have to tell you, it's not true, because things that are different, people pick up and they go, what is this? And I always had the first question was, who is this ugly baby? And of course I said, it's my daughter, years ago. And all the parents shook their head and went, yeah, I know that lip. It's right before the cry starts. So the purple and the lime green, and you know what? They don't want black. We all wear black, but they're kids. They want the cool colors.
But
So
then when Dad goes to buy the seat, he goes and buys black to match the car. So we had to also have black.
That's pretty funny.
See?
I wouldn't have thought that the dad would have bought black.
Dad buys black to match the vehicle. Always.
That's true. That's pretty funny. I thought it was just, the women that, most of us, we joke about the uniform here anyway, because all of us wear so much black. Black became such a trendy color because you can do so many things with it. And anyway, that's pretty funny. That's great to hear that the dad did it. But does the dad go get the booster seat himself, or does Mom go, why did you get that? And make him take it back and get a different color?
No, we've discovered, and I know in the UK, it depends what age the child is, because from the age of 4, we're finding that Mum is still buying the booster seat, but beyond that, it seems to be Dad that's sent out to buy the booster seat.
That's pretty interesting. And we're going to break for a commercial, so I can't say what I know. I know a lot of things, but I do know I'm excited to have you on the show. And, for those of you listening, if you don't know what a bubble bum is and you have a child that is ready to go into the booster seat, they're 4 years old and they're more than 40 pounds, you have to go see what this is. I mean, it will make your life so much easier. Anyway, when we come back, we are going to talk some more to Grainne Kelly, who is with us from Ireland today. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these. Information about book publishing is power. The power to change your authoring life and the power to change the lives of your readers. So join us for Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. You'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now. As the book shepherd, Dr. Judith Briles is in. And each week, she will include publishing professionals that will reveal tips and secrets to the author's journey. If there is a book in you want to listen, learn, and yes, call in with your questions each week. For more on Judith and what she can do for you, check out her website, thebookshepherd.com. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author You and the Book Shepherd with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network. Radio with a cutting edge.
Are you ready to start rocking that woohoo that only you do? Because Lisa Stedman is on a mission. She will dare you, challenge you, enlighten you, provoke, and empower you to bring out that inner woohoo. Lisa is an internationally acclaimed best-selling author. She is a breakup expert, a brand consultant, CEO of Woohoo Inc. and the Woohoo Radio Network. She will show you how to take your boohoo and turn it into woohoo. Get rebellious and get real. Get your dreams off the back burner. Get inspired and motivated to take action. Start rocking that woohoo that only you do in love, life, and business. She is going to be here for you every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, only here on the Woohoo Radio Network.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to the show. I am here with my wonderful guest, Grainne Kelly, and we're talking about her booster seat called the Bubble Bum, which the colors are terrific because the children voted on the colors, and I think you should always ask a child because they'll tell you what they think, and it may be different idea than yours. It may be better, maybe not, and it may not be black. So on that note, I want you to, Grainne, tell my listeners where they can find you and the Bubble Bum and everything.
You can find us on Bubble Bum USA on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. And you can find the product on Amazon.com. You can find us in Walmart stores, diapers.com, on Target.com, in Right Start stores, and several other fine stores across America.
So it's easy to find because I can't remember where I was the other day, but they had the Bubble Bums all lined up, and I thought, wow, this is great. You know, I wanted to walk around and tell people, but I couldn't do that because it was kind of obnoxious to tell people to come look at this.
I do.
Well, when I was in the food department, I didn't want to drag them over, but I actually say I do when I pick up new parents when they have little babies to tell them about my stuff. So you should never be afraid to say. You're right.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Anyway, what about if you have 3 children? How do you fit everything in the back seat? Especially, you know, there's really some small cars that have come out lately.
Well, I think the difference actually between Bubble Bum and the other booster seats that are on the market is that the other booster seats have armrests to position the seatbelt, and we use these side positioning clips on either side, so it saves you about 3 inches in width on your seat, which means that you're not getting that, you know, the busted knuckles syndrome, where you're trying to put the buckle in and you keep busting your knuckles every time on the seat beside, and the kids can't close the buckle, nobody can get in or out. So it actually solves that problem perfectly, where you can sit the Bubble Bum right in the center seating position, even between 2 of those large high back, even the rear-facing seats. You can easily fit the Bubble Bum in there, which is perfect.
You know, and I can remember, all I can think of, because I've taken care of a lot of babies and kids and gotten them into their car seats and booster seats, and all I can say is I can remember so many times in the summer, because I'm in Arizona and we get 115 degrees, I can remember with the knuckles and the car seat and the buckle and the everything, I would be so hot, I felt like I had to go take a shower before we left, because it was so hot and you just can't get that seatbelt in. It's tough, and move over a little bit, and the child's heavy, and anyway.
Yeah.
Yours is really easy. That. So I want to ask you a couple things. I am going to ask you about your favorite parenting tip, but I want to ask you, since you're traveling, do you have any favorite traveling tip? I gave a few of mine out before you came on the show this morning. Any favorite traveling tip when your kids were little, or did you leave them home?
Oh, no, they always came with me. Apart from the fact that I could never get a car seat, which is why I invented the Bubble Bum, I used to take with me, my kids used to seem to always get colds and flus and all sorts after we'd taken a long-haul flight. And I used to make up this little mixer bottle, and I mean, it was less than 100 mils because you've got to carry something that's less than 100 mils. Now, I am not an aromatherapist. I will point that out to all of the listeners, but this really worked for me. What I took was I got one of those 100 ml pump action spray bottles, and I filled it with half water and half alcohol. I'm not particularly sure that you're supposed to use vodka, but it was the only alcohol I could find. And I added several drops of lavender oil and tea tree oil. And what I did when we were sitting on the flight, I would have used that as a spray on the trays, and I would have sprayed it around in the air as well. And it's supposed to kill all of the airborne bugs. And it worked really well because we stopped getting all the sicknesses whenever we were flying. So it was great.
It's funny. I am sitting here. I'm writing down what you did because it's a great tip. But I thought you were going to tell me that you told your kids to open their mouth and you sprayed it in their mouth when you said the vodka.
I drank it when we got off.
I'm glad you kept going after the vodka because I thought, wait a minute, where is this going? Maybe I shouldn't have asked this question.
Oh, no, that one worked great. That one was an absolute treat.
You know what? That's a great idea. And especially, and lavender oil is very soothing because I know if you put it, even, if you put it on your own feet, on your big toe, it sounds ridiculous, or even on your children's when you can't sleep. It's very calming. And sometimes it can help you sleep, or you spray it on your pillow.
Well, it's the only oil I think that you can use. I think it's the only oil that you can use on your body when you're pregnant. Well, it's certainly one of the only oils. And I remember when I had my second baby, I used to get a really bad itch. You know that pregnancy itch that people get?
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody gets it, but I know I got it. So I used to get a really, one of those hypoallergenic moisturizers, and I used to put the lavender oil, the really good quality lavender oil, into the moisturizer. And I used to slather that all over, and I never had any problems afterwards. It was completely got rid of that issue for me with the itch. It was brilliant.
That's really brilliant, and I hope that all the moms-to-be that are listening will take that, to heart, because lavender oil, I know because my daughter's pregnant, and there are many things you can't use when you're pregnant. And again, this is not a medical show, and neither one of us are doctors. We're just passing these things on for moms. Always check with your doctors if you're going to use anything. Don't try it on your own, because there's things that we don't know. What about a favorite parenting tip just in general besides the alcohol and the lavender oil and tea tree oil and water?
What I had found with my kids, my boys, and I'm sure everybody's children are so different, and they are so different from each other. Sometimes it's hard to believe they came out of the same family. and it really is. But in the mornings, one of my boys is a real morning person and the other is a night owl. And in the morning, when they were very little, they would get up and you can tell it was like having the Grinch in the house. He was so grumpy. He would fight about everything. Everything was a problem. And I said, right, I'm not having any more of this. Back into bed. You've got a choice. You can make the decision. Do you want to have a good day or a bad day? So he's in bed. Do you want to have a good day or a bad day? And he would have to think about it and think about it. And I would say, it's your choice, a good day or a bad day. And he would say, a good day, because they're never going to choose to have a bad day, right? And he said, a good day. And I went, okay, you want to have a good day? So that's your choice. And he said, yes. And I said, okay, well, shall we get back out of bed? I'm going to start again. And he said, okay. But it was the starting again, so he could forget about that he was in bad form when he wakened. And he could actually start again. And it's so simple, but it worked an absolute treat with both of my boys every time. If there was an issue, back into bed, and Mommy forgets about anything that happened up to that point. Everything's done and dusted, and we start again.
You know what? That's such a great tip because we can all have do-overs, and it only takes a second. Yep. It's funny because I had one of my guests, Alan Klein, who calls himself the Jollytologist. He's written a lot of books, and he uses humor. And one of the things that he said was, when you get up in the morning, stop and think about where you are. I've had a lot of guests that have said that just for us as adults, get up in the morning and do an inventory. How do I feel? Am I happy? Am I sad? Do I have a headache? Am I hungry? Whatever it is. And, decide to have a good day, because it is all about attitude no matter what age we are.
Yeah. Some days I need to get back into bed and say, I'm going to have a good day, Blythe.
Some
days I need to say, you're going to have a good day.
You know what? We all do. And Also, I think just as adults too, I know this is baby toddler program. However, especially as adults, even as the new parents, you're also sleep deprived. Sometimes it's tough to see the forest from the trees. And sometimes it's tough to say, you know what, I'm going to have a great day. You're so tired. I always connected to New Year's Eve. I always say, you know what, when my kids were little, I feel like it's New Year's Eve every morning at 3 o'clock in the morning because I'm so tired. But we can all choose to have a good day. And you know what, maybe you do need to get back in bed for 5 or 10 minutes and close your eyes and you get up and it's a different day. But we can do do-overs and it's all right. Anyway, we're at the end of the show and you are coming from Ireland and it's probably almost 5 o'clock there. So happy hour. Happy vacation.
Happy hour.
And thank you so much for being on my show. You enjoy your vacation, and we will talk to you again. And tomorrow I will be taking the Bubble Bum to my meeting and showing all the mothers of preschoolers what they need to have. So thanks again.
Thank you
take
so
care.
Much, Blythe.
Oh, you take
care.
care.
Much. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, what a fun guest, and all the way from Ireland. That's so cool. It's only almost 9 o'clock here in Arizona and earlier, in the United States, and it's 5 o'clock there. So Grainne will be having happy hour, and I'll be having breakfast. And whatever you're having, make it a good day because you can have a do-over. And if you get up and you're grumpy, it's okay to be grumpy. But you know what? Then decide not to be grumpy if you can't help it. So next week, let's see, my guest will be, so relaxing. Her name is Kelly Johnson, and she is the creator of the Parker Time Potions Massage Oil, which I have sitting right here. And we're going to talk all about the importance of massage for your baby. I'm ready to relax. Honestly, her potions are great. They smell great. And what a time to bond with your baby. Everybody likes a massage, especially after you've been on the computer for a while. As an adult, you just want somebody to rub those shoulders that maybe have been up to your ears. So put your shoulders down. And remember, I am on Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and LinkedIn and Google+. And you know what? Like my pages, My Best Parenting Advice, and on Facebook and Baby Instructions. And you know what? Follow me and go to my website, mybestparentingadvice.com, or call me if you need a little parenting help for baby and toddler that's not medical. I do consults on the phone and Skype. And I'd like to leave you today with a little humor about family vacation. Want your kids to behave on road trips? Well, try this. Bring a bag of candy, and anytime they misbehave, throw a piece of candy out the window. That'll stop it in a minute. And Mother's Dictionary of Vacation, it says taking your children to a new location to take care of them again. Add swimwear and lack of schedule. And then it says pack booze and ibuprofen, and see also in the definition, insanity. And finally, remember, laughter is an instant vacation, so don't forget to laugh each day. It will make your world a better place, and we have so much to be grateful for. So look at something, watch a YouTube, and just have a laugh. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.